So my dear friend, Danny Gal, we discussed it several times that Gal is not a Hungarian name, but it's an interesting story. And you have a not very exciting background, I am sorry for this conversation. Here we are at the end of the World Cafe 30-year-old birthday, as somebody said, rather than anniversary. And you have been an old, lasting World Cafe person, and we know each other from 20 years ago as well. And I know that the work you do, and now you came out with a book. Maybe you could say a few words about the book as well.
Yes, sure.
Because of the situation which we are experiencing in Hungary, not that grave as your situation in Israel.
Yes.
Definitely, I don't want to compare.
Yeah.
But some of the patterns of separation, fragmentation, anonymity, etc., we can notice in Hungary as well.
Yeah.
So you could say quite a lot because your work is really wonderful.
Thank you, Agota. First of all, you are a dear friend, and I think you're doing a great job to promote different ways of connecting people and healing the torn society. And we know each other for 20 years, and I've been privileged to know the World Cafe and to the art of hosting philosophies and practices many years ago, when I, as an Israeli citizen, asked myself, how do I reach out to Palestinians? How do I create these bridges that will allow us to see each other as human beings, not as enemies? And then I met a friend, Ibrahim Isa, and together, with the support of the Art of Hosting community, we have created an NGO that is called the Center for Emerging Futures. And in this NGO, we held many seminars that invited Israelis and Palestinians to sit together, to get to know each other, to go beyond seeing each other as enemy, and to listen.
And to go beyond the media and
The stereotypes and everything that we are fed by the media. And you know, they say that it takes a lot of time to build trust and just a minute to break the trust.
Yes.
But what I found out in these meetings is the opposite. I found out that over just 48 hours of intimate and safe setting in which people can see each other and meet each other and listen to each other's stories and connect heart to heart, trust can be built and can be maintained for many years. And I have proofs, because people who came out of these meetings are still friends, Israelis and Palestinians, even after so many years and so many wars and so much blood that was spilled. And we are still in contact.
That's
so I
lovely.
think we proved with
So
this.
one of the things which maybe these processes can help us with, that we, because of the person-to-person connection or heart-to-heart connection, somehow, in spite of all the pain, etc., we don't fall into generalization, but we still keep the awareness that this is the person I know.
Yes.
Doesn't matter whether Palestinian or Israeli. I know Danny.
Yes.
And that's it. I know Ibrahim. And that's it. That's beautiful.
And this is very strong and sustainable. And so we tried to do our best, but this is a grassroots movement. So we touched maybe 1,000 people, and it changed their lives. And they became part of the community of bridge builders and connectors. And I can tell you that those people who participated in our meetings, when they went back home, they carried the message of peace. So there's a ripple effect to this work.
Absolutely. Everybody lives in a family.
And I can only say that those methodologies or practices of connecting people, whether it's World Cafe, the art of hosting, open space, appreciative inquiry, the listening circle, the wisdom circle, these are all ways in which people can bring themselves fully, not to apologize, feel safe, not be judged, and make the deepest connections that allow the ice to melt and the walls to collapse.
And as you said, that maybe this morning, I'm not sure, the realization that your land, Israel and Palestine, is the place for both of you.
Yes.
It is the home for both of you. And it was Ibrahim who said that.
We
I
both
think
say that because we both feel that we have the right to be in this land. But the difference is that I believe, and the difference between me and Ibrahim and other extreme people is that my right is not exclusive of your right.
Absolutely.
And Ibrahim believes that his right for this land is not exclusive of my right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And let me share a little story with you.
Mm-hmm.
If I have a brother or a sister and we both share a car, that means that I have 50% of the car and my sister have 50% of the car. But if I have a sister and we both share one mom, we have 100% mom, each
true.
one of us.
Absolutely.
And that's what I think about the Israelis and
homeland.
Palestinians.
Mm-hmm.
It's a homeland. It's mother homeland. And we share it and we can have it fully for both people.
It takes me to your book, which just came out, The Belonging. But it's not just simply the belonging, which is the title, but the belonging paradox.
Correct.
So say something about that. Because now we were talking about the belonging, that both of you belong to that land.
Yes.
And what is the paradox?
The paradox is that you cannot really belong if you neglect or turn your back or erase who you are. You come to the partnership proud of who you are. But there is a tension, because if you want to belong, you don't want to let go or to erase or to cover your identity. You want to belong with your identity. So sometimes we all feel in our personal life, in our social life, in our organizational life, we feel that we really want to belong, but the price of belonging is to turn my back to my own values. And there's a tension here. So my book is about this tension and how to navigate it in a way to find balance on a personal level, on an organizational level, societal level, and the world.
You know that Gabor Mate?
Yeah.
You know him? He talks about this two core instinctual needs we have, and one is belonging and the other is authenticity.
Mm-hmm.
And how conflicting sometimes in our unhealthy society it can be. This is exactly what you are.
I love Gabor Mate. He is mentioned and cited in my book. And I know a lot of Israelis are angry with his opinions against Israel. But I know he is coming from a good place. He is not against Israel or the Israelis. He is against the policy of the government, which I am also. And I call everyone to not judge us. There are millions of people like me in Israel who oppose the Netanyahu government and want to change direction and create peace.
This is maybe one of the reasons why I'm so grateful that now in a few minutes you talk about that so openly. Because I remember when the thing happened on the 7th of October,
7th.
I also wrote to some of my other friends, and then we had a conversation. And the main thing is that I remember Jenny said that, but there are so many Israeli or Jewish communities who don't agree with what is happening, the way it is happening,
Yes.
etc. And I said, but we can't hear them. You know, the only way I get the information sometimes about these voices was searching. Now, of course, internet, you know, with the algorithm just comes into my face.
Yeah.
But at the beginning, I had no idea. So you are not really heard in the world.
This is the choice of the media that
I know.
you are consuming. We are in the streets for 5 years, not from October 7th, for 5 years when Netanyahu started to threaten and to change the Supreme Court and the judicial system. And we saw what's happening in Hungary, and we saw what happened in Poland and in other places. And we went to the streets and demonstrated. And some people say that because of these demonstrations, the Hamas saw that we are weak and started his attack on us. But we were in the streets and we continued.
It's a question of authenticity, isn't it?
And we continued to be in the streets for these last 2 years, protesting to stop the war.
Right.
And to stop the killing, and also to return the hostages.
Absolutely, yeah.
What happened in October 7 is a massacre, is inhumane, and shouldn't have happened. But the reaction of Israel wasn't just against Hamas. I am supporting going after Hamas, because these are terrorists that want to wipe out Israel. But there are so many moderate Palestinians with whom we can make a different and positive relationships, and we must go there. We must go there.
And as a systems thinker, you as well, we know that events don't come just out of the blue. They have a context, or as a World Cafe facilitator also, they do have a context.
Yes.
And the context has a sometimes very complex, historically, time-wise, etc., interconnection web, and out of that sometimes events just come up to the surface.
That's correct.
Yeah.
But
so it's always an issue how to stop this recurring cycle. Absolutely.
We need leadership to stop the cycle.
This is what Ibrahim was talking about beautifully.
Yes.
I hope your book gets in the hands of some of the leaders, because you work with leadership as well.
Yes.
In actual fact, maybe you could run a World Cafe on the themes of your book. Maybe
That would be great.
Wouldn't it?
But if anyone who watches this video wants to buy the book, it's called The Belonging Paradox: How to Solve the Global Empathy Crisis. Find it on Amazon.
Amazon, that's right. And one more thing, maybe, in this whole work, if you could a little bit more precise about how these participatory processes helped. Because, you know, there are so many other methods or approaches how people try. We could say that Thich Nhat Hanh invited peace meetings in Plum Village of Israeli and Palestinian participants. Yes. And I know in the old days there was team's integrity around that, etc., etc. So what is your experience around this?
For me, the deepest thing is the quality of listening and the radical acceptance of who you are, no matter where you're coming from and what's your background. And let me tell you just a short story. In one of those meetings, I was sitting in the opening circle, and everyone should say who they are and why they came. So one person speaks, a Palestinian tells a story of how his brother was a suicide bomber in Jerusalem, murdering 25 Israelis in a bus. And he said that after that happened, he decided to become a guide, youth guide of street gangs, and to work with Palestinian youth to not go this direction. And I felt like I want to speak with this person. At the beginning, I was hesitant. I felt fear. His brother was a suicide bomber. But then when I sat with him and I understood the background,
this is the context.
I really connected to this person.
Empathy was there.
Regardless of what his brother did.
That's it. Many times, absolutely. If you manage to conduct or generate conversations where the heart has a place, or from where people share who they are and what their stories are, magic happens, as we say. Thank you so much. I do actually hope, as I mentioned to you, but just in a few words, that there is an awakening among the Hungarian Jewish community, which of course so far I don't follow so closely, but in the past 2 months something is happening, which on one hand I think is good, because there is a growing openness about how people feel. It must have been awfully difficult to be a Jew and to experience these past 2 years. And not to talk about it, what they feel, what they think, and just being kind of locked in a ideological kind of cage. So I personally am very happy about that, but also it brings about conflicts, difficulties. So if there is any need, you would be happy to come.
I will, and this is the belonging paradox. You want to stay part of the Jewish community, but you don't always agree with things that are done for the Jewish nation. And we need to manage this. There's no easy solution, but we have to be compassionate and hear everyone's concerns and make our compass in the right direction.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Danny. See you in Hungary.